When something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor. Life is too short for long-term grudges. I'd rather be optimistic and wrong than pessimistic and right. Some people don't like change, but you need to embrace change if the alternative is disaster. I think it's very important to have a feedback loop, where you're constantly thinking about what you've done and how you could be doing it better. I think that's the single best piece of advice. Constantly think about how you could be doing things better and questioning yourself. If something's important enough, you should try, even if the probable outcome is failure. Patience is a virtue, and I'm learning patience. It's a tough lesson. If you're trying to create a company, it's like baking a cake. You have to have all the ingredients in the right proportion. If you get up in the morning and think the future is going to be better, it is a bright day. Otherwise, it's not. I would like to die on Mars. Just not on impact. It's okay to have your eggs in one basket as long as you control what happens to that basket. We can't have, willy-nilly proliferation of fake news. That's crazy. You can't have more types of fake news than real news. That's allowing public deception to go unchecked. That's crazy. People should pursue what they're passionate about. That will make them happier than pretty much anything else. I think it matters whether someone has a good heart. I think there should be regulations on social media to the degree that it negatively affects the public good. Rockets are cool. There's no getting around that. To make an embarrassing admission, I like video games. That's what got me into software engineering when I was a kid. I wanted to make money so I could buy a better computer to play better video games, nothing like saving the world. We're running the most dangerous experiment in history right now, which is to see how much carbon dioxide the atmosphere can handle before there is an environmental catastrophe. Self-driving cars are the natural extension of active safety, and obviously something we should do. I always invest my own money in the companies that I create. I don't believe in the whole thing of just using other people's money. I don't think that's right. I'm not going to ask other people to invest in something if I'm not prepared to do so myself. Great companies are built on great products. Starting a business is not for everyone. Starting a business, I'd say, number one is have a high pain threshold. People work better when they know what the goal is and why. It is important that people look forward to coming to work in the morning and enjoy working. I think that's the single best piece of advice. Constantly think about how you could be doing things better and questioning yourself. It's very important to like the people you work with. Otherwise, your job is going to be quite miserable. Any product that needs a manual to work is broken. I think you should always bear in mind that entropy is not on your side. When I was in college, I wanted to be involved in things that would change the world. Really, the only thing that makes sense is to strive for greater collective enlightenment. Brand is just a perception, and perception will match reality over time. Sometimes it will be ahead, other times it will be behind. But brand is simply a collective impression some have about a product. I will never be happy without having someone. Going to sleep alone kills me. The value of beauty and inspiration is very much underrated, no question. But I want to be clear, I'm not trying to be anyone's savior. I'm just trying to think about the future and not be sad. I really do encourage other manufacturers to bring electric cars to market. It's a good thing, and they need to bring it to market and keep iterating and improving and make better and better electric cars, and that's what's going to result in humanity achieving a sustainable transport future. I wish it was growing faster than it is. Tesla is here to stay and keep fighting for the electric car revolution. If humanity doesn't land on Mars in my lifetime, I would be very disappointed. The United States is definitely ahead in culture of innovation. If someone wants to accomplish great things, There is no better place than the US. The key to making things affordable is design and technology improvements, as well as scale. There have to be reasons that you get up in the morning and you want to live. Why do you want to live? What's the point? What inspires you? What do you love about the future? If the future does not include being out there among the stars and being a multi-planet species, I find that incredibly depressing. If I'm not in love, if I'm not with a long-term companion, I cannot be happy. I don't create companies for the sake of creating companies, but to get things done. I do love email. Wherever possible, I try to communicate asynchronously. I'm really good at email. I think life on Earth must be about more than just solving problems. It's got to be something inspiring, even if it is vicarious. I think we are at the dawn of a new era in commercial space exploration. I say something, and then it usually happens. Maybe not on schedule, but it usually happens. The goal of Tesla is to accelerate sustainable energy, so we're going to take a step back and think about what's most likely to achieve that goal. We're already cyborgs. Your phone and your computer are extensions of you, but the interface is through finger movements or speech, which are very slow. If you go back a few hundred years, what we take for granted today would seem like magic, being able to talk to people over long distances, to transmit images, flying, accessing vast amounts of data like an oracle. These are all things that would have been considered magic a few hundred years ago. If we drive down the cost of transportation in space, we can do great things. The problem is that at a lot of big companies, process becomes a substitute for thinking. You're encouraged to behave like a little gear in a complex machine. Frankly, it allows you to keep people who aren't that smart, who aren't that creative. If you're entering anything where there's an existing marketplace against large, entrenched competitors, then your product or service needs to be much better than theirs. It can't be a little bit better, because then you put yourself in the shoes of the consumer. You're always going to buy the trusted brand unless there's a big difference. I'm interested in things that change the world or that affect the future, and wondrous, new technology where you see it, and you're like, wow, how did that ever happen? How is that possible? There's a silly notion that failure's not an option at NASA. Failure is an option here. If things are not failing, you are not innovating enough. I think we have a duty to maintain the light of consciousness to make sure it continues into the future.